So today is day 5 in end-to-end deep learning series, which is happening for the past 5 days since Monday. And we have learned through various concepts of Zoho Creator. We started with the basics of Zoho Creator. We then moved to the deluge. We moved to integrations. And today we are going to take a look at third-party integrations. Okay, so yesterday we took a look at how we can integrate Zoho Creator with other Zoho products, and we also took a look at how we can implement V2 API system, right? So today what we are going to do is we are going to take a look at how we can integrate Zoho Creator with other third-party APIs, and what are the types of APIs which are available and how to get the values. And then we'll be also taking a look at the custom functions which can be written using Java and Node.js. Okay, so far we have seen all the functions which has been written on Deluge, right? So now we are going to take a look at the functions which are going to be written on Java and Node.js, and then we'll be going through a few application settings, and we'll be having our hands-on. So welcome to today's session, and so as general, these are the common notifications. All the attendees will be placed on mute. If you have any questions, please use the questions tab, which is available on the left-hand side to ask the questions. Even if you ask us in the chat, we'll be answering you. But the problem is we will not be able to collate them easily. So please do use your questions tab for asking your questions. Our co-trainers will be actively answering those questions, and a recording of this session will be sent to all the attendees by the end of the series. And please do participate actively in the polls and surveys which we are initiating during this session. These polls and surveys are very important to us to determine the flow of the session and also to understand and design our upcoming sessions. Okay. So let us get started with the agenda of today. We have the pending syllabus of third-party API integration. We'll be starting with that. Then we'll be moving to custom functions using Java and Node.js. We'll be taking a look at middlewares which are built using Python and Java. So .NET, I don't think we'll be doing today. So middlewares, we constructed middlewares in 3 different languages, and so today we will be saying Python middleware and Java, and both these middlewares are using V2 API. So it can be used to integrate any applications with any application with Creator, as long as they have a endpoint associated. Then we'll be going through the mobile SDK and rebranding. Then we'll be taking a look at the application settings, and we have a Q&A session and hands-on session after that. Okay, so let us get started. So I'll finish my session and then I'll hand it over to Batma, who will be taking you through the custom function and Node.js sections. Okay, so this is the application which we used yesterday. Let me just close it. So for API, so we'll be using 3 different APIs today. So the first API which we'll be using is Rates API. So let me go to Google and type Rates API. So this Rates API is a open API which is available free of cost to everyone. So the moment we execute this API, it provides us with the conversion value between any 2 currencies. Okay, so let it be Great Britain pound to USD, USD to INR. So whatever the base currency and uh, currency to be converted is being provided, we get the equivalent value. So this API, if you can see, it is not having any authorization. This is the endpoint. Once we take this endpoint and make a GET request, we'll be provided with all the conversions. So let me just start with this. I'll copy this API. I'll get into Postman. Okay, I'll do it with Deluge itself since we are out of time. So we'll start a new function. Let me call it as Rates API, and it's a default namespace. I'm creating a custom function. So So let us just return a string value out of this function. So far we have not returned anything, right? I'm sorry, guys. Just give me 1 second. Okay. So far in all our functions, we have not returned anything. So every function which we have written is a void function, right? So now we'll be returning a string. So I'll say I'm going to return a string from this function. So let us return. So returning is as important because we are going to call this function in our form workflow and get the value. So let us say I'll just copy this and let me say base URL. Base URL is equal to, and this is the URL, and we are going to make a get request to this URL. So we yesterday saw when we are making a post request, it is mandatory that we have to send a. Give me 1 second, guys. Let me have some water. So yesterday when we made a post URL request, right? So we said it is mandatory to have a body map. Even if we don't have a body map, it is mandatory that we put a empty body map over there, right? So today, this is just a get URL. So we can see it has been defined as I have to make a get URL. So let me just say response is equal to get URL and get URL of base URL. And let me info response. So if I save and execute, we can see we have been given all the currency conversions with the base as euro. So by default, this API takes euro as the base. So let me just copy this. Again, getting into JSON beautifier. And if I beautify, you can see the base of this API has been by default taken as euro. So if I want to change this base, all I have to do is to give the base as a parameter. For example, if I get into this API again, and I say base is equal to sorry, base equal to USD, and now if I save and execute again, we have been provided the base as United States dollar. So whatever the base we are providing, the currency conversions are happening depending on those bases. So if I beautify it now, we can see the base has been converted as USD and all the respective currencies are being converted in terms of USD. So one Great Britain pound is equal to 0.71688 United States dollars. And coming to India, one Great Britain, one USD is equal to, as the INR here. So one INR is 72.7538. So now what we are going to do is we are going to make use of this API and get inputs from our creator form and get the conversion between any two currencies. Okay. So what I'm going to do is close. So we have the response, but we don't need all the response, right? We need only the any given currency. So let us say I need only INR. So the first key I should get over is the rates. So what I'm going to do is response dot get JSON get JSON of rates. Let me just copy this and paste it over here. And now we have gone to the first key, the rates, and the second one you have to do is to get the value which is for the key INR, right? So just let me copy this dot get JSON of INR. So let me save and execute. We can see we have got the currency conversion of 72.75. Let me close it. and I'll say if it is GBP, when execute the conversion is 0.71688. So right now, so if we can dynamically pass the value to this base and grade or this currency which we are getting for getting from the response, right? So we will be able to get the conversion between these two. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pass two inputs as arguments. So string base and string convert. So the base is the currency on which this conversion is going to happen, and the convert is the currency to which the equivalent value will be populated. So let me just remove this and say this. And again, the get JSON, let us remove this and say convert. Save, and I think there will be no error. Okay, I'm saving it. I'm executing it now. So let me give the base currency as Japanese yen. I think JPY is the. Just give me a second. It's JPY. So JPY to INR. Let us go ahead and check it out. So the base is going to be JPY and the converter is to be INR. So if I submit, we have got the value as 0.67. So what we are going to do is we are going to construct a string and get this function into our creator application. So let me just go ahead and return the conversion. The conversion between base currency and the convert is, and we give, so let us save this response in a value. So let us say answer is equal to, and it is going to be this answer. So if I say execute it, so let me give the base as USB and the convert to the INR and submit it. So we've been given the conversion between USD and INR is 72.753638. So let me close this. Then let me get into form. So I create a new form and I call it as rates, blank form called as rates, and create the form. So let me put two drop downs here. So the drop down one is going to be base, and the second is going to be converted. So let me give the values for the drop down like USD, GBP, JPY. And the converter can have a few options. Let me say INR, USB, and so that's all. So now what we are going to do is we are on user input of this converter. We are going to call that function and get the conversion between the two currencies. So let me just go ahead and in the form workflows, I'll create a new workflow. In the rates form, I'll say on user input of the field converter. I'll say get value. So let me say x is equal to this app dot rates. So there are two inputs which are supposed to be given. The first input is going to be the base currency, which we have defined in the base drop down, and the second one is to be the converted currency. And now we got the value. So now what we have done is we have got returned a string in that custom function, and the return string is stored in X. So we are just going to alert X, save. Now if we go to the form, and in rates, if I go ahead and say the base is going to be USD and the converted is going to be INR, so we can see the system is alerting us that the conversion between these two currencies is 72.75. So this is how, and this API which we just executed, right? So it is not having any authentication associated to it. So this is called as open API. So this API is not, no one is going to track the usage of this API, and this API is not having any protected resource or the sensitive data associated to it. So, so that is with the open API. Okay. So the next API which we are going to look at is API with authentication. Let me just give me a second. Let's say distance matrix. So distance matrix API is an API of Google where they allow us to calculate the distance between any two given points, and this API is not a free API. They charge us. So let me just return a string here. If we have to pass any arguments, we can also say we are going to pass arguments. So let us say I'm going to say origin and destination. So I'm going to pass two arguments, string. If I create a function, by default we can see the system creates the code for us. So last time what I did is I defined that I'm going to get the origin and destination. So now when I say while creating the custom function, I said okay, I'm going to get two arguments, both of them are string. The system itself understood and said okay, I'm going to get two arguments over here. So let me go to Google and search for Google's distance matrix API. Distance matrix API of Google. Okay, so I think this is the API. Let me get the examples. Coordinates, not the coordinates one. So we can feed in two different coordinates and get the value. And now I'm looking for is the distance matrix response. Okay, so this is the API which will give us, which will take the origin and destination and give us the data. So I just copied it, and let us say this URL is equal to. Okay, so here we can see they have given two different origins and two different destinations. So it's Vancouver and Seattle, and the destinations are like San Francisco and Victoria, BC. So we will take only one origin and one destination for this demo. Okay, so let me just go and okay, so they have given bicycling and the mode is bicycling. So let us get the API which says car. So here you can see this is how the output will be. So if I say the mode is bicycling, it takes 3 hours and 3 hours and 22 minutes, and the total distance which is between these two points is 1,735 kilometers. And so there are two set of distances and duration. So so this is how the output will be. So let us see whether if they have English. Just give me a second. I think. Let me just remove this language. Okay. So this Google's distance matrix API is a used API, right? Oh, sorry, security API. So where they will be tracking the usage of this API. And let me say I'm going to get the origin. And Let's get the destination. So now we are going to get two parameters here, and at the end we can see it is asking for your API key. So this API key is the security which we have embedded. And so this API key serves for two purposes: to verify whether the client is using the API for the intended purpose, and to track the usage. So this API key defines, okay, how many number of API calls are happening so that the user can be charged. So this API key is same for all the users, but every time when a developer generates a API key for his or her own application, they'll give a different API key, which can be obtained from Google Developer Console. So Google Developer Console. If I go to Google Developer Console, I think right now they have made it as mandatory that I have to set the billing information. So here you can see they have a lot of APIs. So from there, Distance Matrix API, if I go ahead, I'll be provided with the API. Okay, so the Distance Matrix API. I think this is the place where you can go and get your APIs. I think it's here, APIs and services. Okay, so where we can see all enable APIs and services, and we can go ahead and search for our APIs. So this API is a paid API. So where Google tracks the usage of the API and charges the developer based on the usage this API has been used in the application of the developer. So we need to provide a API key. So if we don't give a API key, the system will not allow us to get the request. So let me just go ahead and make a post request here without providing the API key. I'll show you. Uh, the map is equal to map. So the body map, since we have passed all the values as parameters to the URL. Since we have passed all the values as parameters to the URL, we are passing an empty map to the post request. Okay. So response is equal to post URL of this URL, comma body map. Info. I'm infoing the response, and if I cancel, if I have to save this, if I execute and let us say Chennai, Mumbai, submit, we can see the API key provided is invalid. So that is the security which the system has generated, and only with the API key, the system authorizes that API call which has been done to the Google server, and then the data will be returned. So let me close and get the API key from my. I have already generated and kept an API key. So I copied it and placed and saved. If I execute it, let us give the same Chennai and Mumbai. If I submit, we can see we have been provided with the correct destination. So the destination is Mumbai and origin is Chennai. And the distance between these 2 points is 1,335 kilometers, and the duration is 22 hours and 10 minutes. Okay. So now we can go ahead and get the desired output from the response. So let me execute it one more time so we can get it from JSON beautifier, Chennai and Mumbai, submit. I'll just copy this output, getting into JSON beautifier, beautify. So the first key we have to pass is the rows, and then elements, and then distance and text. Okay. So let me get so go ahead and close, and let me go ahead and say info response dot get JSON of first we'll get into the key rows and dot get JSON, The next one which is going to do is the elements. Then get JSON. And the next key which we are going to take is the distance. Dot get JSON of the next one is the text. So this is the value which is having the distance, okay, and so the same will be followed for duration as well. So let me say distance. Distance is equal to, and the same will be there for duration. Let me just copy this and instead of distance, we'll just replace distance with duration, and let us say duration. So return the time taken is plus distance and the distance is. So this one we put as duration. Let me save and execute it. So let me give it Chennai and Mumbai. So if I submit it, we have been given the output as the time taken between time taken is 22 hours and 10 minutes, and the distance between these 2 points is 1335 kilometers. So we can call this custom function again in our form and get this output. So the main difference between the earlier output or the earlier API call which we made and the API call which we made just now is the API key or the security which we have passed here. So without this API key, this one won't work. So this is a protected API, so which is having or which is accessing the data from a protected resource, and this information is not publicly available. Okay, earlier that conversion API, it's a public API where no one used to track us, and the usage of that API is solely dependent on the developer. And there's one more API call which I would like to say. So that again, it is a free API, and the reason why I'm getting into that API is like let's say MF API. So the reason I'm getting into this API is this API returns a collection. So it's like it doesn't return us with the straightforward JSON. It returns with the list inside the collection. So for example, let me go ahead and say free mutual okay free mutual fund in any API. So this is the API which I'm talking about. So let me get the value of any one of the mutual funds. So let us say LNT business cycle, LNT business cycle, LNT focused equity fund. So this is the API which I'm going to make the call. So I'm copying the link address. So let us say this URL is equal to this one, and we are going to just make a GET request. I'm sorry, guys. I'm really sorry. I think I got down with cold. Just bear with me. Response is equal to get URL of base URL, and if I say info response. So if I save and execute, we can see we have been given an option. So let me just copy this and go to JSON beautifier. So we can see in the earlier APIs, when we got the value, it was just like the key value plus. We got one key, and within which we will have another key, and we can just go ahead and do the dot get JSON off, right? But in this API, if you can see, it's a peculiar answer. So there's a key which is providing a list of values. So it is the same pair, but it is having the list. So earlier, before a couple of months, we were not able to, or before, I think before June or something, right? So this response was just considered as a JSON structure. We will not be able to call the index. So I'll show you. So let me just go ahead and say the first key which I'm supposed to pass on is the data. So let me just do the get JSON up. Okay. Close response dot get JSON, save and execute. So earlier, so this was entirely considered as a, normal JSON string. So if I do dot get JSON of date, the only value which it was which it will return to me is the this one, the 4/3/2001. If I say dot get JSON of NAV, the only value I'll be getting is the 14 dot 181. But now we have come up with the concept that this is recognized as a collection. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the index 0 dot get off 0. Now if I save and execute, you can see I've been given with the element which is in index 0. So the collections body which contained a list is considered as a object, and I'm able to iterate it with the index rather than just going on with the JSON structure. So you can see, and now I can do the NAV. So if I say I want the NAV of date last month's 26, which is going to be 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. If I say get off 4, and I say dot get JSON of I think NAV. Save and execute. We can see the system is providing me with the NAV of the last month. So which is 13 59200. So which is the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is the one, right? So index 4 is this one. So it is providing me with this index. If I give the index as 0, so if the index is being given as 0, so it is 14.18100, and which is the last, I think it's yesterday's NAV. So this is how we can navigate through the JSON structure. Now the JSON structure is not just returning the object in a string format. It is also understanding if the value which we are obtaining is in the list or is it in a collection. Okay. So these are the three APIs which I wanted to show you, because these three had its own peculiarities. One is an open API with no security system, and the next one is a API with authentication. So how we passed on the authentication in the API parameters. And the third one is the API which returned us with the collection value. Okay, it's the same JSON structure which was repeated for different dates in the form of collection. So I just wanted you guys to know these three API calls. So that's it with my session. I'll be handing over the session to Padma, who will be taking you through the custom functions and other functionalities. Thank you.
Good morning. I hope my voice is clear and audible. And I will be sharing my screen now. Just let me know if it is visible. You're able to see my screen? Thank you. So let's get into the custom functions. So you all would have learned about the custom functions where you would have used the dilute script in order to achieve some of the reusable business logics. And now the creator actually has extended its capability on usage of the custom functions using other languages like Java and Node.js. And there is a particular structure that has to be followed when we have to use these two languages. I'll be actually walking you through how it is set up and where exactly you might need to write your business logic so that it gets executed and you can call it as part of your workflows. It could be in the custom action, in the reports, or in the pages. You can associate as a custom functions on a button action and so on. So throughout the creator, you can use it across all the components in the creator where you're extending the usage of the business logics using other languages like Java and Node.js. So, if you take this Java or Node.js, there are some built-in packages which are supported by default. Say, for example, when you take the JSON, when we have to use the JSON object as a JSON class inside Java, then we have this package org.json, which is an inbuilt jar which is already available as part of it. So you just need to import that respective class and get going using it. Similarly, when you take the Node.js, you might need some standard modules in order to execute certain functionalities, like when you do a HTTP request. So you need a request module. So similarly, you have the defined modules that you see on the screen, like the request, Bluebird, Crypto, Axiom, and default, whatever you see in the brackets. So, to set up or to achieve some of the basic requirements, these modules are added as a prerequisite that is available by default. So, you don't need to import it as a separate package. But apart from this, you would also want to have your own custom built class which is packed as a jar, or custom built modules that you would like to use within the Node.js programming. So those things can be achieved through the feature that is available, which I'll be walking you through. So what you can do is actually import those custom built classes, the jars and the modules, and address it inside your program in the custom function and use it for your business logic. So, okay, apart from all this, always when we try to extend the capability of a product in using these conventional languages, extensive conventional languages, actually speaking, there, being a part of the product, there always needs to be certain points to be noted. We actually can't say limitations, but you can say some little restrictions, because you need that we have to consider the performance into consideration. We need to think about the performance of the data manipulation that is happening, and the output that a user can see whenever a particular solution is built on this product. So those are the points that you see here. That is, as I told you, that you can upload custom built jars and modules. So there is again the maximum size that you can set up to is 10 MB. You can upload it as multiple jars. You can upload it as multiple modules, but the total size, when you sum it up, it has to be only 10 MB, not more than that. So that is a restriction that is kept in the product level. Then, when it comes to the payload, the response data that we try to get back from executing those custom functions using Java or Node.js. So, the points that you see here is applicable for both these languages. Whereas in Deluge, it is taken cat automatically, so you don't have this restriction. But when it comes to Java and Node.js, still have this restriction, which will be extended, leveraged in course of time. So when you say that the request and response payload, say you are executing a logic and you are expecting some kind of a return value from that logic, right? From that custom function. So that payload maximum that is possible is 1 MB if you execute a function. Similarly, you will have the maximum number of arguments that can be passed. It is set to 20. Then number of times, say for example, as I told you that you can use these custom functions inside a workflow. Say you have a workflow logic where you might need to call this particular custom function, which is written in Java or Node.js, say within a loop, and it has should not exceed 5 times of the call of the function. Okay, now there would be a question. If this is going to be the kind of restriction, then how do we handle huge record sets? There you can think of a logic of, say, you can push the entire looping logic inside the Java or Node.js and get it done there. And from there, if you want to return back the value, instead of returning it as entire data or the collection itself back to the workflow, what you would do is from there, using the APIs or the V2 APIs, or the way you can push the data directly into the creator forms. So that is a sort of a workaround that you can think of in order to overcome these restrictions. So when I say the restrictions are there, doesn't mean you cannot work with it at all. But there is a workaround that could be achieved from within Java or Node.js that you're writing as part of the custom functions. Similarly, the response time. The response time is again 40 seconds. So suppose you are trying to execute a logic within, say, when it comes to Java, naturally our mind will set to the concept of threads, delays, using thread delays and all that. But here you cannot be using that because the response time has got a restriction of 40 seconds. So always you need to think of how this logic can be achieved. Similarly, to overcome this 40 seconds, you need to know the maximum record set with which you can manipulate and do a recursive call from within the custom function from where it is being called. So I will show you two examples for the Java code. One that uses the feature of Java, which could not be achieved directly today using Deluge, that is, say, image watermarking. The other one is the Java code where how do we overcome some of these restrictions? Like you have maximum payload, how do we avoid it? Then how do we avoid this number of seconds? How do we avoid the number of times the script can be called? So these three restrictions, how it is being achieved is what I'll be showing you as part of Java. Similarly, in the case of Node.js, it will be a simple function which I will be showing you executing, where it is just an arithmetic operation. So you can think of a better solutions do, but you need to stick on to these points. Then, when it comes to exporting it as a DS file, these will not be actually part of export, import, backup, duplicates, etc. But say you have created an app with these custom functions which are going to use Java and Node.js, what will happen is the DS has to get imported, right? When you try to install this DS, you export it as a application and you want to import it in an account. There you must not get the errors, right? So for that, what the framework does is that it will just have a empty deluge function with the same name because it will be referring to the function calls. So there should not be any messing around with importing such DS files. So that is handled. So what you need to do is, once you install this application as a DS file, you might need to explicitly go and put down the logic that you have written in your actual DS file. So that open the function, just copy paste that code and set it up. That is one extra work that you might need to do. So these are the points to be remembered when you are trying to use Java and Node.js. But a good thing is that most of the features are coming up with Deluge itself. But when it comes to some features where you need to explicitly use Java, do remember these points. So this is how we are going to extend the capability of custom function. Now I will just take you to the demo part where I'll show you how exactly you will see the structure of the Java functions and Node.js functions, and where you need to write the business logic so that that gets automatically executed when it is called from a workflow. Okay. So I'm just shifting my screen. Yeah. Hope you're able to see my screen. And here, if you just see in a normal, you would have seen it in the workflow. We have a functions tab. You would have already seen it. My colleague would have walked you through sample custom functions where you would have used deluge scripting. Now, let's see how to achieve this Java and Node.js. So the naming is the same as what you give. And the second thing that you see is language selection. By default, it will be deluged that is available. So when you click down, you will be able to see the other capabilities using Java and Node.js. And before that, when you choose deluge, you can still see that you can define the functions as different namespace. That is, you are trying to define a structure, library structure based on its usage. Say, if all the file related operations you want to put under a particular namespace folder, we create a namespace called file management or something like that and put all the related functions. Say you have date related functions, you create a namespace and put it over there. So that is the feasibility usage when it comes to deluge. But when it comes to Java and Node.js, we won't be able to define the namespace because everything will come under default. Because when you look at Java, it's like a package structure, right? So keeping that in mind, when you choose Java, if you see, it always comes under the default namespace. Similarly, if you choose Node.js, it comes under default namespace. So that is the main difference between a deluge and other languages. Similarly, when it comes to return type, when you choose deluge, you can see all these basic return types, the primitive return types. Apart from that, you can also see the collections, what all type of return types that you can do. And when it comes to arguments, you can see that you can use the primitive data types as argument types. Apart from that, you can also see the form objects. So we just don't restrict ourselves to just the primitive data types like the int, the float, the list, the collections, whatever you call it. But apart from that, we would also be using form objects, forms, right, to store data. That is the core idea of this creator. And you can pass that as a object reference and use that in order to manipulate with the data, whether you want to update the data, you want to delete the respective record, you want to add record, insert, all that can be done using the form object reference. So this is for the deluge. But when it comes to Java or Node.js, the return type is always a collection. So what we need to do is, inside our business logic using Java or Node.js, we will have to form the collection. So it will be like with the list of maps, or it would be just the map keys which you want to return back to the place where it is being called as a custom function, so that you take the value that is returned by Java or Node.js and manipulate and put do some other processes. Either you want to store it in a file form, or you want to carry forward the data for any other business logic use cases. You can do that. But you need to remember that when it comes to Java and Node.js, namespace is fixed as default, return type is fixed as collection. Then comes the argument. In Deluge, we saw that it could take different arguments, right? Argument types could take the primitive, the form objects, etc. But in Java and Node.js, it's always the string. But you could have a question here. If it is always a string, I would be having a list, or I would be having an integer which I would like to pass as an argument to Java or Node.js. How do we do that? So that is can be done within the Java code or the Node.js code. We just need to parse it. So we have the parsing capability, right, in the respective languages. Just need to parse it into the required data type and use it as part of your business logic. So I will be showing you the parsing part also. So this is about the settings, how exactly the function can be set up using Java or Node.js, for Java and Node.js when it is selected as languages. So that is the difference that you need to understand between Deluge and other languages. Now, now let's go to the implemented part so that I can just show you. Um, I'll just show you a few executions and then walk you through how it is implemented. Um, okay. Say for example, I have a watermark. I was telling you, right? I just upload an image and you provide a text over here in the text box. Upload an image. When I submit, this text will get imprinted on that image and stored in a file upload field which is available inside this. That is, there will be a report. Right now I don't have a data. You will be able to see one once it is successfully uploaded. Just let's try how it works. I say hello and say you can choose any. Okay. So I've uploaded the image, submit it. Yeah. So I've just given this log to make sure that things are actually happening, working. So if you see the name at the bottom, let me zoom it out. So you're able to see. So this itself makes sure that a file has been uploaded, because all the file upload will have this kind of a string information, right? The name of the file followed with a number, a random number followed by the name of the file. So let's get into the report part and see. So you're able to see. So this is the image that I uploaded, for which I wanted to have this text hello. And this is the image which is imprinted with the text. So this is the watermarking feature which has been achieved using Java, because Java has got its image, the graph features, right? The classes, we have a lot of packages to achieve it. So that is the reason why we have extended the usage of Java here in order to achieve this functionality. And let me just take you to the code part of it. So we have something called invoke Java. So if you see, I would have included these packages, the AWT packages, right? The Java image packages, the file operations, all these classes I would have imported. But because these things are supported by default, I don't need to explicitly import anything as a jar, but I'll just need to import only those classes which I'll be using inside my code. So I'll be downloading the file from the particular path and passing this file as another method. So as you see, whenever you try to create a custom function using Java, Can as well show you one. See, I just create, say, demo, choose Java, and I say create. So what you see on the screen is a default structure, a skeletal code that is available for you. So you just you do not worry about what kind of exceptions to be thrown or to be caught, and where exactly you need to write the logic. So all that is actually provided to you as a skeleton. So your business logic would remain here within. So you can write your entire business logic here, and it's not that all your business logic has to go in one go inside this. You can still use multiple methods. You can create different methods. It could be a public say string get name or something like that, or you want to pass an argument, you can pass an argument, and you can as well create a method and call that method from within. So you can just say get name here, and you can call the method. So you can split your business logic into multiple methods. One way to do is that, you know, the best practices of using Java, right? One, either you want to stick on to a single class, split it into different methods so that your maintenance is better, and you will also know to achieve the logics in an easy manner. Then the other method would be to write your own multiple classes, which will have the public or a private or protected methods in it, and you just need to bundle it as a jar and upload it in the library. So I will show you how that is done. You right click on this. Yeah, you right click, just don't click. It is a right click on this, and you say upload files. There you go and choose your jar files. So you would have written some classes, bundled it into a jar file, right? So you choosing the jar file, and that file you can add n number of jar files, but the total size alone should be 10 MB, not more than 10 MB. And you say upload, that particular jar file will get added as part of this custom function, and now you can import the respective classes and start using those classes for your functionality. So that is another best practices that you would have seen in Java, right? So all those capabilities are still available, so you can still extensively use that. You can go in for the inner class, you can go in, but when it comes to inheritance, that part you cannot directly say extends here and use a class. Rather, what you would do is, it is like adding it as a separate dependent jar and use that inside. That's all. So that is a way by which you can use it. We don't exactly call it inheritance, but that is a way we can achieve it. Okay, so that is to do with how you could do things with Java. And I will show you another Java code where I was telling you, right, about the points to be noted, the restrictions, number of times a loop has to be executed, to how do we overcome all that. So that part I will show you. Okay, I have something called get file contents. So the logic that is available inside this is nothing but you read a Excel file which has been uploaded into a particular file upload field in the creator form, okay, files form, and I'm going to read through the records and upload that into a different form. But here the logic that I've written is uploaded it into the same app's different form. I'm reading the file from one form, uploading into another form. So by, you could actually ask a question, why do we need to do that? Why do we need to go in for the API here? Why not push the data directly? As you saw that there is a restriction like 1 MB payload, right? You cannot, if the file, the CSV file which I'm trying to read is going to contain say 12,000 records, 30,000 records, more number of records. How do I dynamically manipulate that? So keeping all that in mind, what I have done is I just read the file, download the file, and I know the maximum payload and timeout. Keeping all that in mind, I have set a record count, and based on this record count, I would do an indexing and recursively call the function from outside the deluge part. So I will show you, this is the part that is doing the job. See, for the payload which I have executed for the CSV file content that I have understood that my maximum payload can take up to 4,000 record count in one go. Again, this 4,000 would be the maximum payload for which I'm taking the record count. And as I told you, I'm going to recursively use this function inside the for. I'm going to call this function so many number of times. So number of times, again, there is a limitation which I told you, that is a restriction. So I want to control it here. So I will call it based on the indexes and get the response and say, yeah, the record count alone. And the response is not the actual content because the payload is kept in mind. So for which what I did was I have pushed the data, which I see I've read through all these columns from a huge Excel file. I pushed the data into a form called Java underscore data from within the Java itself, the code itself, the custom function itself. So I don't really need to worry about the payload here, worry about the number of times the loop is getting executed. So that is the reason why I'm doing that. And I just need only the next index so that I would keep increasing my index count here. And I will say, okay, first let me read so many records. Then from that record point, let me read the next set of records. So the logic of implementing the number of records that I read will be done within here. I've done it here. So I will share this code. You can just have a look at it. So this is intentionally written. So you could actually ask, why don't we do it directly with just a file upload? That is Excel upload inside the creator. Yes, you could do it, but I just wanted to show you, if at all you encounter a situation where you need to consider the payload, you need to consider the number of times a particular custom function is to be executed, because it should not be more than 5 times. So keeping all this in mind, how do we achieve the usage, the extension of Java as a custom function? So that is the reason why I took CSV file reading, which is the most appropriate one, which I could show you. So let's try to execute this function from here, say for which I told you, right? I have the files uploaded here. It will have 4,000 records. This will have 400 records roughly. So I have different types of files to show you the execution rate. So let's first start with the 400. So the file which I'm going to pass read is this, okay? And that is going to be stored here. Right now I don't have any record. Let's see whether it's able to push those records here. So it might take a little time. Hope it works. Yeah, let's see whether the record has been pushed. Yeah, so how many records? So we could see 399, because my indexing has started from 0. So it is 399 records that you can see here. Similarly, the same function can be executed for the 4,000 records too. Let's try doing that also. Before that, I just want to yeah, I want to delete the record. This is one easy way I try to delete the records so that I don't keep scrolling. So now all the records are cleared off. Now I'll take this 4,000 records. Let me try my luck on it. Yeah. see whether there is any timeout happening. It'll take a little time here than what we saw already. That was 400 records and rows, and here it is going to go up to 4,000 rows. Yeah, let's see whether we are able to get those records here. Yeah, let's see how many records have come. See, so the idea is, how do we overcome the points to be noted, the restrictions, the payload, the number of iterations that can be used to be called for the functions written using Java, or even it's applicable even for Node.js as well. So these are small logics that we need to come out with, so that we don't have a restriction, we don't get stuck somewhere and saying, okay, we can't do anything. So that's the reason why I just wanted to show you this one example. Actually, the very good example would be the watermark, which I already showed you. How do we deal with the graphics? Because that part is still not ready with the deluge, where you can directly take up the graphics part. Whereas with Java, as you all know, it has got an extensive usage of all these packages, and you can get all that done. Yeah. So this is about how you could use Java, and how you could use it with keeping all your restrictions in mind, and how that is called from a standard. This is a standard function which I've written, upload data. It's a basic custom function from within which I'm going to call Java's function. So if you see, I would have called it in the same way, this app dot. Normally, that is the way we call a custom function, right? Any other custom function within the app, if at all I want to call, this is the way we call this app, the current app, and the function that has been defined inside that app. That function could be either Java or Node.js or Deluge, whatever. But always remember, whenever it is going to be a Java or Node.js, the return will be a collection. You need to unwrap the collection, get the required data, and proceed further with your other business logics. When it comes to Deluge, you can exactly say, this is what is going to be my return type. So it'll be a string or a list or an int, whatever you call it. So this is about how Java is to be coded within the custom function. Next, we will quickly, I will walk you through the Node.js part. Before that, I just wanted to show you one part. I was telling you that you can upload a library file, right? The jar file. So that part, what I've done is I've written a simple driver file, driver code to just check. I have a Postgres in my machine, but I can't directly communicate with the Postgres because this is in the cloud and that is in the on-prem. Only thing I could show you here is if I have a supporting jar file, the class file, driver file, and if I try to load the class name here, it should be able to load it. So that this connection object, this class can be used within the connection object in order to do a further communication. So to do a further communication with Postgres, I would need the Postgres to be available in public IP. That is, can be either in a AWS server or any public servers, so that I can use that public IP as a connect object here and achieve it. Now that I don't have any setup in the public IP, I'm just going to show you how this jar file, when I have included it as part of the dependent libraries, how this gets loaded as a class. Just execute and show you. Ah, yeah, you can see it here. It says that the driver has been loaded. That means it has recognized this class and it has loaded it. Just to show you how this dependent files can be used. That is all. Okay. So this is to do with the Java. Next, when it comes to the Node.js, for Node.js, I have a function. As I told you, it is a simple function that I tried achieving. That is, you pass two arguments, two numbers as arguments, and you submit it. I will have a log or information that returns as a collection, which will calculate, do all the arithmetic operations with these two numbers. So it will tell me what is the sum, what is the difference, what is the multiplication. It's a basic calculator, that's all. But you can think of any extensive usage of the Node.js for your business logics. It's not necessary that it's going to be, this is the simple thing that you can use with the Node.js. So just to quickly show you how it is achieved, that is all. I pass on to numbers. Now I say submit. So in the log, because I've returned it as an info, in the log file, what you could see is I have passed two numbers. What is its product? What is its sum? What is its difference? And what is its division? So this logic has been written inside calculator function. So in Node.js, as in the Java, I told you whenever you create a function, selecting language as Java, it will give you a skeleton structure, right? Similarly, even in the Node.js, you could see that. Say, for example, we say demo Node.js, choose Node.js as a language. So you could see that the namespace is default, the collection type, the return type is going to be collection all the time, and the argument will always be the string. I do a create function. So as you saw in Java, here also in Node.js, you get a default skeletal structure. And your business logic should start here. You can have methods, call those methods within, but your starting point is here. As you saw a runner method there, here it will be this module.exports where exactly the work starts. And in Java, you would have seen the folder called library, where you would upload the dependent jar files that you need. So here again, we use something called node modules. So you right click, same way, just do the right click, upload file, upload as many .js files you have, dependent files you have, and that should not exceed 10 MB. So that is a restriction here. So every other thing is going to be the same. Okay, so this is the way your Node.js will look like. Now I'll take you to, I just executed a function there, right? In the calculator function. What I did was, whatever argument I passed is a string. I told you, right? We can parse it within into the required data type that you wanted to manipulate. And what I've done is I've written a custom JS file which is doing the calculator logic. So I have not actually flooded this part with all the logic. Rather, I have written it as a separate dependent file. So you can see that I have included that. On click of that, you can see the logic that is written. This is same as what you normally do. In a Java file, you write multiple functions. You have a set, a return value. You can set a return value. So it takes the two arguments and performs the job. That is all. And now coming back to the main function, I have actually imported that JS. I said I want this JS to be used, referenced in order to carry forward my business logics, the calculator function. So once that is done with this, I will call the respective methods that are defined inside, and I would do my job, create a collection. I told you, right? Everything is written as a collection. And you know the kind of collection format that you require at the receiving end, right? So there I have created a collection saying the product sum. So it's a map data key value pair, and I have done all that. And basic IO is the one that will return back the value. Okay. So as we do a normal return in Deluge, if you use a custom function using Deluge, if you want to return a value, you just say return, that is a syntax, followed by the data type that you have mentioned in the return type. Here in Java as well as Node.js, it is the basic IO class or the package that is going to really help you to return back the collection that you are trying to give back to the calling part. So that is about the Node.js. So the way you upload a file, the way number of arguments that can be passed, then the maximum size of the arguments that is passed, everything will be actually dependent on the you have to follow the restrictions. That is the note, the points to be noted. So you should always think, remember that you can upload only up to 10 MB data, and payload is always that 1 MB. You need to stick on to it. If not, write your logic so that you overcome that restriction, as I showed you in the Java, right? So that way you can extensively use these languages. So this is about how we use Java and Node.js as a custom function, an extended capability of creator apart from using Deluge. So this is about the custom functions. Then let's now get into the APIs. As you have already learned APIs, you would have learned about V2 API, you would have learned about the third party APIs, a default one with key, without key, all kinds of APIs. And everything is mostly REST based. And that is the reason why you could easily achieve communicating, transferring the data to any third party application or between Zoho products itself. But there would be situations where we will actually need to talk to the on prem apps, applications, on-prem database, on-prem apps. So how do we actually get going with that? So for which is we'll be actually seeing this middleware. So what exactly is a middleware? You should all be aware of it by now. Middleware is actually nothing but, I would say, it's a framework which actually helps you to interprocess the communication between two ends, the application on one side and the application on the other side, between two servers. It could be between two on-prem servers, it could be between a cloud and a on-prem. So you take any combination, it is this middleware which will actually help you achieve that. So what is a middleware? So middleware, as I said, I'm putting it as a framework because it could be a web server, it could be an application server, it could be a database server. Internally, it is actually nothing but a software. Why do I say software? Because to the logic that is used in order to achieve this communication, right, between the two ends will be written through a programming language. So you have multiple languages. You will be aware of so many languages. Like you would see the Python, you would see the Java, .NET, so and so. There are so many languages: Perl, PHP, C, anything. As a software that has to drive this framework, you will use these languages. So that is the reason why you could see a definition. It is a software that is designed to act like an interface. So at the very beginning, I was saying it as a framework. Framework, it provides the capability of communication between two ends. That's all. And this capability of communication, when it comes to cloud versus on-prem. So if you take between on-prem to on-prem, we'll be aware of the ports, we'll be aware of the IP addresses of those on-prem, where you would define in your firewall, you will define things in your policies where you can directly talk using these languages. Whereas when it comes between a cloud and an on-prem, there you have to be a little more careful about it, where you would be doing achieving this communication through APIs. Again, we'll be actually jumping on to the APIs only, but some software has to be initiated to use these APIs, right? This is where you will see the languages like the Java, Python, Perl, PHP, these things coming into picture. And in the middleware, as I said, there are different types of middlewares that we would come across in our day-to-day life. Like what you see already here in the screen is how a web service, Tomcat service, how an application server like Apache Tomcat, where you have the servlets, the JSPs, whatever. Then the database server, where you can use the functions, the triggers. And say right now, I think most of the databases, if you see, if you take Oracle, Oracle EBS and all, if you take Oracle itself, you have the stored procedures that you can write in Java. So when you have the capability of writing the stored procedures using Java, from within Java, you can actually use the HTTP requests in order to make the API calls. So when you do these API calls, that is where you try to communicate with the cloud, right? From your on-prem. So you have a database which is set up in a server and it is running. And you have that you need whenever a data that comes into this particular database, I wanted that data to be pushed to a cloud app. So how do I achieve it? So there I can think of as one solution would be a trigger, right? When it comes to database, relational databases, we are aware of the concept of triggers. So I will trigger a stored procedure. I will trigger a function which would be written in these extended languages, the softwares that we say, like Java or Python, etc. And there I would be doing a HTTP calls in order to run an API, in order to execute an API with an endpoint saying, okay, this is the data that has come into me. I want to push this data into the creator app. I know the V2 API of creator. So I will take that and implement that within the Java or Python or whatever language I'm trying to use and push the data as and when it comes inside the database. Also, being a language that is being used, we know what kind of data, how to refine those data and send it. So those capabilities are part of the software, that is the Java or Python or whatever language we are trying to use. So this is when I could think of database as a middleware. Why I say database as a middleware? It is a little tricky to think about database as a middleware, database framework as a middleware, because of these stored procedures right now, which have been really being useful in being extensively used in the databases like Oracle and especially the Postgres. It has got a varied languages that can be used as part of stored procedures. And I'll be showing one example with Python for it. Okay. And other types of middlewares that I can think of would be the message oriented middleware, right? We have this messaging services, JMS. So there, how that framework itself could help us doing that. Then transaction processing monitors, kind of machine languages where we can still achieve it. So these are the possible examples of middleware that we can come across in our day-to-day life. And today I'll be showing you a simple example how middleware, how Java as a software is used in the Apache Tomcat application server middleware in order to push the data that is read from a local file into Creator. That is one example. Another example which I'll be showing you is the database as a middleware, database server as a middleware. So what I would have done there is I have written a function in the form of a stored procedure using Python, and I would have associated that function or procedure to a trigger, and I would have associated this trigger to a table. So whenever I just write an insert query, insert into the table, it will trigger this to function, and that function will execute the Python code, and that will push the data into creator. So I'll be showing you one example of that too. So these are the two parts which I'll be showing you as part of middleware. Yeah. Now let's see. Yeah. Uh, uh, as I've already walked through all these points, it's okay to revisit it. So when it comes to creator, because we are now keeping the creator as a base here anyways. So here, creator is a cloud. It's in a cloud, and you have some third party legacy systems or third party databases or any other third party apps which actually are part of a on prem and doesn't have any endpoints defined. This is where I would need to set up a middleware here in between this, which would actually make it communicate. So the structure, these are again the points, like when there is no REST API concept defined, you have these SAP based OData model. You can think of setting up a middleware and achieving the process. So this is the bottom to top architecture, which you could clearly visualize the role of the middleware. And here, if you see, we have this as a cloud application. And as I said, it's possible that we would be having legacy systems, the mainframe systems, which directly it will be more secured, right? They might directly not provide you with endpoints. Rather, they would be easily channeled to uh, databases, like a local databases like Postgres. And from Postgres, as I said, as a database server, as a middleware, I can push the data to the application server. So to do this logic, what I'll be doing is, in the database, that is Postgres as a database, I'll be writing a Python, as I told you, as a function, as a trigger. And whenever a data from a legacy system hits the Postgres, so there is a DB2 channel, right? We already have. I think those are some standard channels set up between the legacy system and any other database service, especially the Postgres. Yes. So that will be actually set up whenever the data in the legacy system is scheduled to be pushed to Postgres. The Postgres will actually, we have written a trigger. So once there is an insert query happening, that will trigger the function, execute the Python, an API call will go to cloud. So always the final leg of communication that happens would be through a API call in a middleware. Okay, if it is going to be between a cloud and a on-prem. So this down to top architecture will really make you understand how what would be the better role of a middleware. And the languages, as I said, the software, the word software in the middleware framework will be this. Could be Java, .NET, C, Perl, Python. You can go on and on. And this is one business case. Say I have my point of sales on prem and I have the data stored in the Postgres. I want it to be pushed to creator, that is, which is in a cloud, an app in a cloud. So how do we achieve it? There are different ways to do it. One, place this middleware, that is as an application server, in a public IP address, and use this public IP address whenever you have a data to be pushed from creator to the local databases. What you do is, have a seamless communication, that is from creator to local and from local to creator. Place this application server in your public IP and call that application server with the proper definition, what it has to do, where it has to actually store the data and all that, from within the creator cloud app, and just execute it as a workflow. This is communication from creator to the database. So communication from database to creator again would be a kind of a trigger. So from trigger through API, I'll push the data. So you can see a seamless happening. So that is achievable provided you have your entire application server framework in the public IP. So this is one example, one business use case you can think of. So now let me actually take you to the middleware setup. See, I have a simple JSP, okay, and I have my Apache Tomcat running, which is listened in the port 8089. I have just customized the port alone. It is running in 8089, and as I said, the logic is actually a simple one. You can think of a bigger logics. So what I'm doing is, from the local CSV file, I'm going to read the data and I'm going to push it to the form called test through the API, and I'm going to use the tokens. I hope the access token is still valid, because we all know that by now you should be aware that the access token is valid for an hour. I set it up. So let me execute this and see whether it works. So the logic is it reads the Excel file from the local, then parses the information and gets the data to be written to this particular form using the access token that I am provided here. Okay, now let me go to this. I have my Tomcat running. As I told you, it is running as a local host. Actual setup would be for a seamless communication, put it in the public IP and use that from within the creator. Right now, I can't be calling it from within creator because that is in the cloud and this is a local one. I need to actually open up the port. I need to set up the firewall policies. So I'm just going to show you how it exactly works. Say I'm executing it. Okay, good. So the access token has got expired. Let me take the access token. So actually I have a simple logic which I have written always to create a access token to make my job a little easy. So I'll put my refresh token. That is one of the argument. And these are my client information. That is client secret, the client ID, and the client secret. Okay, let's see. Okay, I got my access token. Let me go to the place where I have to replace my access token. Actually, you would have a question here. I'll come back to that. Let's first try whether it's working. Before that, let me check if, yeah, hopefully there's no data here. Let me try to execute it. So now you could see the success message. Previously, you saw a message which says that the connection failed. I actually did not capture the entire response code. The code would have been 401, which means the credential problem. The credential is not right. The authentication has failed because the access token had expired. Now that I have refreshed it, got a new access token, which would be valid for another 1 hour, and I could see that the data is added successfully. Let's go to the report. So right now there was no data. Let me refresh this. So that Excel file, the local Excel file which I had, this is Padma Java. Yeah, I think this is it. See, these are the two data. You're able to see, right? This is the two data which I have pushed into the creator. So you can see these two data. So how, this is an Apache Tomcat application server, and I'm running it from the local host. As I said, you need to set it up in a public server to have a seamless communication. So this is one way how we achieve, uh, how do we get into the concept of setting up a middleware in order to have a communication between my local CSV file to a cloud application form where I'm going to push the data. Okay. So this, even using a custom function Java, if you're going to use, still it can't go and read a local file, right? It needs something to be executed locally in order to get the job done. The Java that runs in the custom function is not executed in my local machine, but it is getting executed there. So I can only read the file from the cloud and do the job there. But if I want to extend the capability of Java there, I'll need to go and read it from any other public services through a API. So that is possible. But when it comes to the local machine, my physical drive, I want to read a data from an Excel file, as I showed you. This is in my local drive, and you're seeing the data is being pushed inside the cloud app through the Apache Tomcat application server as a middleware. Fine. So this is one example which I would like to show. Another example is the database server, which I told you. I have a local database here. I will show you the definition of the table first. Yeah. So from here, what you need to understand is, see, I have a table called my data. It has got just two fields, simple fields. It will take a string and it will take a date. That's all. And what I have given as a trigger, what kind of standing instruction I have given as a trigger. I have a trigger called add record. I hope the screen is visible. I have a trigger called add record, and I have an instruction saying after insert into this table for each and every row, I wanted to execute a function called push data to test. Okay. So what is this push data to test? Will be the next question that you're going to ask. So we have something called this command. I hope it will be able to show the data. Good. So you just, let's not confuse. So if you see, this is the function that I've written. I'm saying it's a public function and the language I've used is Python because okay, now when it comes to languages, I would like to share a little information on the Postgres part. In Postgres, whenever you write these stored procedures, right, as an Oracle you would have seen Java as a stored procedure. Here the Postgres has got an extensive capability of supporting multiple languages. The Postgres structured query language by itself, then the tool command language, which is going to be machine specific language, and Perl and Python. These are the four ways by which you can actually create functions, associate those functions as triggers to a table. So from this, you could clearly understand how I'm going to call it as a middleware. Okay, now let's get into the function. What I'm saying inside the function is that whatever information that comes inside as a new data, because I'm saying insert, it is a new data to the table. Whatever comes in as a new data to this trigger, take the data in a variable, then from that you form a list that has to be sent to the form in the cloud. So how do we communicate in the cloud? Use a V2 API of the creator, for which I will need the tokens. Here in this implementation, you would have seen I would have used the refresh tokens, I would have used the client ID, client secret, so that I don't need to really worry about whether the access token has got expired or not. It's going to create a token every time. I've done the two logics separately to show you how things can be handled. When it comes to Java, in the Java code, I would have used the access token straight away. So its validity is just 1 hour. Whereas when it comes to this Python code, which I'm showing you right now, has got a logic where it will take the refresh token, it will take the client ID, client secret combination, create an access token on the fly, and it will help you execute the API to push the data to creator. So that is the logic which has been written as part of this function. And I'm going to give an instruction that this function has to be returned as it returns a trigger. That means this was going to be executed whenever there is a trigger on the table. Okay, now let's try to, before that, I will also like show you what exactly this is. Select stuff from my data. So we have so many data. Now let me insert. It's all a basic SQL command that you use, data manipulation language. Insert into my data values. Mm, DB. Where? Yeah, I'm going to put today's date. Let's see. So it says it is inserted. That means it should have triggered this action. It should have executed this function, read the value exactly what I have inserted into the table and push that through the API call to the creator. So let's go to the creator part and see whether the data is available. Now I said it's in the tests, right? Yeah, you can see this. So this is the record that has been pushed as a trigger from within the Postgres database, which is available in my local machine. So there, I would say how this database framework is going to act as a middleware. So this is one example which I would like to show. So this is how we are using Python as a language in order to communicate between the local database and the cloud applications. So this is about how the middleware is to be used, um, how it can be. It's just shedding a light on how you can use things as a middleware, how to set up the middleware so that you can get going and public putting it in a public IP so that you are aware that the communication is going to be seamless. See, in the examples that I showed you, the communication might not be 100% seamless, right? Because if I want, yeah, I go inside the creator form, I enter a data to push it to my local DB, I can't directly achieve it. I might need somebody in the public IP who would be taking my request and pushing that into the local. So if I have had my application server in my public IP address, I could have directly used this inside my creator and I would have pushed the data. So this is the way by which we can actually achieve this middleware concept. So it is just information, just a idea how you can set up a middleware. If you take Oracle EBS, there you do have the place or the configuration where you can say this has to be my endpoint. So my endpoint's job is to read and write data into the respective tables. So there is a provision for it, configuration for it within the Oracle EBS, where I can define the endpoints. And once I get my endpoints, I'll be given the endpoints as a link, like what you see here, B2 API and all that, right? Etc. Slash the directory, the name, that is the endpoint name and all that. So those definitions can be done there. I just need to use this definition within the creator and get going with my communication. Here in this case, I'm just giving you an idea how you can set it up as a public IP and use the same here in order to have a seamless communication between the cloud and this part. So this is something to do with the middleware part. So let's get into the presentation. So I had shown you how the Python can be used to communicate with the creator, that is database as a middleware, and how Java can be used as part of the application server framework. That is, you read a CSV file, use the application server in between who will talk to the CSV file, parse the data, push the data through the API call into the creator application. We just saw that also. Yeah. The only thing is this has to be public. So that is about the middleware concept. The next thing is I can actually, I think we do have time, another 20 minutes, sorry, 10 minutes to break for lunch. What I would do is I can quickly walk you through this mobile SDK. Okay, the mobile SDK, but I will continue this concept if it is not being done by 8:30. Sorry, by your lunchtime. So what we can do is in this mobile SDK, actually this is like you would have already seen the widgets, right? The widgets part where you have this JS SDK as a channel where you can use the API calls to communicate between the front end and the creator as a backend. Similarly, even with this mobile SDK, mobile based apps, see, there are different ways by which you can build the apps, right? The mobile apps. You have the Xcode, iOS specific apps, Android specific apps. You can build the UI UX, right? In that respective OS. could be Android or iOS. So once you set it up, you would want to communicate that with the creator, right? So how that is to be achieved, for which we have something called, how do we empower, how do we actually leverage the use this capability, for which we have something called backend as a service, mobile backend as a service. So here our backend is going to be the creator. So there are different approaches we can think of. So once I say you are given the capability of, okay, you can build something with your mobile platform and you want to integrate it that with creator. One, just communicate between, you build your app or your entire project in the mobile and just push the data, get the data, manipulate that with the mobile. That is first approach. Next, our ideas don't stop there. We just try to think a little further, saying, okay, I have so many forms, I have so many reports, I have so many pages inside my creator, because we have just learned all these components in creator, right? So how do we use that? Why do I need to always design something in my mobile? Why not I use it here? So that is also possible. So what you can do is, you can take the entire creator app which is already available, embed that as part of your mobile, in your mobile platform, for which you have this UIDX, UIDK, which is a interfaced development kit provision, which will help you do that. So you can take entire creator app, embed it as part of your mobile and use it. Or you can think again, there will be another level of thoughts, right? Why should I use the entire app inside this? Rather, I will have some part of my mobile built in my mobile platform, some components of creator which I can use inside the mobile. Yes, once you give a path to achieve something or to do something, the requirements keep, what do you say, the requirement, we would want to leverage the requirements, use it extensively. I will use a hybrid model. I will take some components of creator, put it inside the mobile platform and use it. So that is also achievable using this UIDX. So there are two concepts that we need to understand here. One is the core SDK. The core SDK's job is mainly to communicate between the mobile platform and the creator. So this, you push the data, get the data. So the look and feel would be from within the mobile, which you have built using the mobile platform. But you want this communication to happen. That is where the core SDK comes into play. So my colleague will be sharing a link to understand this mobile SDK and also the core part of it. So where exactly you need to do the settings and how do you need to achieve it and all that part. So that is something to do with the core SDK. The next part is, I was talking about how do we embed, right? The embed the components, embed the app itself or embed the components. So how do we do that? That is achievable using the concept called UIDK, because that is the user interface development kit. So that will help you achieve this embed either fully or partially, the hybrid model or the full model. So different languages which we normally use. For iOS, we use Swift, and for Android, we use Java. So this is the way we normally build the apps in the mobile in their respective platforms. Then these are the three ways which I was saying. The ways here literally means, one, communication. The entire UI UX is on the mobile. Data alone is taken as a backend from creator. That is one approach. Second approach, you take the entire creator app, put it inside, embedded it inside the mobile platform. Third approach, you take partially some parts of the components of creator and put it embedded inside mobile. So these are the three approaches which we are actually, when you say three ways, this is what he means. So you're designing your own UI UX using the core SDK so that the communication happens. Then it's going, this core SDK is going to be creators mobile SDK. So these are the definitions. See, this software development kit is a definition which will be done, that is specific to our creators and which will help the other front ends to communicate with it. See, this is more like, you can think of multi-tier architecture. You have a front end, you have a middleware, and you have a business logic, and you have a back end. So it's a multi-tier architecture. Whether you want to have a heavyweight architecture, front end, which contains the logic as well as the components, or a lightweight, you want to split it into front and back end and a business logic, or the heavyweight at the back end, that is, have all your mobile stuffs inside creator. So you can, it's a basic, you when you go back in say talking about multi-tier architecture, you will be able to understand what these three ways means. So core SDK's job is to help you communicate between the two, the front end as a mobile platform and back end as your creator, and UI SDK is the one that helps you to embed the components as you want it your way. So this is what is pictographically shown. So using the mobile as a backend as a service inside creator. So using core SDK, you make the UI project which you built using in the iOS or the Android, and talk them each other. Communication happens through SDK. So what kind of experiences you get, what all you get out of it, what advantages you get. So you can see the third party projects that can be handled, login logout feature, the entire workflow features, then your UI and the UX, how it can be achieved. So the look and feel really matters when it comes to the mobile based apps, right? So this is where this core SDK is going to be of great help. Then the API requests that you can do, because that is supported by the respective languages. And this is the second approach which I told you, using UI DX. There is UI DK, that is nothing but your creator app, embedding the entire creator app into a single entity in the mobile. So you have the forms, reports, pages, components. You want to embed the entire thing here. So for which the UI DK will help you. That is one approach. See, this is how it will look like. The overall architecture will look like this. Then this is what is using this UIDK development, the kit is used. And the last approach would be this, where some part of it you have, say, order form, request form, calendar. So these are different components in creator, and I don't want to use all. I don't want to take the entire app and put it inside as you saw in the second approach. I just want to use only some of it. This is how you can look at it as an architecture. So this, the third and the second approach would be possible using UI DK. The first approach, where you have creator as a backend, mobile as a front end, you can use core SDK to achieve it. So core SDK is anyways going to play a part there because it has to talk to each other. But when it comes to the model, the architecture model that you're going to use, you need to see whether you will need to use a UI DK too. So I think with this, so these are the points again which reinforces saying what are the benefits of having this core SDK and UIDK in order to achieve this user interfaces in the mobile, and communicating that with the creator app. So that is about the mobile SDK. And the next thing is, I also want to talk about the mobile rebranding. So when it comes to the mobile rebranding, I'll just quickly talk about it and we can wind up the session with this. I didn't want to push it to the next part. So when it comes to the mobile rebranding, we have something called native apps, then progressive web apps, and mobile rebranding. Mobile apps. When we say okay, creator supports mobile apps, then we can think about three ways of achieving it. Yeah. One, native apps. What do you mean by native apps? See, from the Play Store or your Apple Store, you can download the Creator app, Zoho Creator app. It could be the Zoho Creator app or the Customer Portal app, either way, depending upon the kind of application that you set up. And once you download and you try to access it, you should be able to see the applications that are actually available as part of in the dashboard. and you click on the application. If you have built the app with the mobile capabilities with the right, left, shift, and all that, you will be able to get the feel of it straight away. When it comes to progressive web apps, that is the native apps. Then, when it comes to progressive web apps, you have the browsers in your mobile, right? You just need to go access this app in a browser. Could be your Safari or even the Google Chrome app itself available in your mobile. Just go access it in the web as you do here in your browser, in your laptop browser. Same way you do it in your mobile browser. Access the apps. So that is the progressive web apps. So you can see the look and feel of it, how it looks like, how the user interfaces can be achieved. Then the last one is the mobile rebranding. When it comes to mobile rebranding, you have few steps to be followed where what you can do is you build an app with a creator, and then from the settings you can go and set up the mobile rebranding, where few steps to be followed that actually you can see it in here. So this is how it will look like. See, if you take for example, when you take Android apps, okay, I build an app. Once I'm done building an app with a creator, I need to follow these steps. So my colleague will be actually sharing this link with you. So you just need to walk through these steps, create a key store file. The one that I'm showing is only for Android. Similarly, there'll be steps to be followed for iOS too. So there, how you would actually get the key, and once you have the key set up, then you need to get the code sign for that app, and you will finally get the APK file done. You need to just download it. See, for the local internal users, you can share the APK files and get it done, or you want to do it in say you want the customers to download it, so it has to happen only from your Google Store or Play Store, all that, right? So there will be a procedure to be followed, and once you follow those procedures, you can see your app available in your mobile. So once you access those apps, you will be able to actually see the look and feel of those apps like what you see in your actual mobile apps. So that is about rebranding. So to summarize it in a nutshell, I would say, if you'd say mobile apps and creator, you can look at it as a native app. That is, you download the creator app, access the apps from within your mobile with all the mobile capabilities. Next is the progressive web apps, where you access the apps from the mobile browser as you do it in your machine, laptop browser. Then third one is the mobile rebranding, where you actually pack yourself. You create an app in the creator, make a package, form either a APK file or the iOS related file, and you can install it in your. If it's APK, it's a direct installation. You don't need to follow some security policies, whereas in iOS you all should be aware that there are some security policies to be followed. So once you have all those files ready, you need to go through these security policies so that you can download it formally from the Play Store, and sorry, the App Store, and then you can install it in your mobile and see use the app. So these are the three things apart from the mobile SDK which I would like to talk to. So I think with this we will take a break for lunch, and after lunch we'll I'll walk you through the application settings which are available at app level, what all kinds of settings that you can do, and finally we will have a hands-on session. So thank you all for your time. So we'll get back to you after lunch.
So the last topic we're going to look at in day 5 session of Zoho Creator end-to-end deep learning series is about application settings. So for an application, you can have different level of settings. You can change the settings by getting into the settings tab that is available on the top. So you have design, you have workflow, you have settings, right? So just get into settings and you will be redirected to this page. So here, what are the actions that can be performed? One is you can change the application name. Now I have the application name to be customer invoicing system, right? So this application name, I can change it off to customer invoicing app. So and then I can as well change the URL, uh, provided you haven't shared the URL somewhere, or you haven't tagged it anywhere. And there is an option to change the administrator as well. So here you can change someone as a administrator only if that user is a developer. So the administrator, uh, a person can become an administrator only if he has been given a developer access. Here, surendra.sr@zohocode.com has been given developer access. So it is listing in the admin change list. Here, Surendra can be chosen as a new admin, and the admin control will be transferred to Surendra. So after that, the existing admin will become the developer. Okay. So coming to the date and time settings. Now I have it in IST DDMMM YYY format 24 hours. So this can be changed to any time format. So here, whatever the date and time settings you've given here, the time zone, date format, and the time format you're giving here will get reflected in your audit trial, backup, logs, and transactions. So the data, irrespective of the data center, may it be a US data center or Europe data center, or may it be any other data center. So within the data center, you'll have a centralized time maintained. From that, based on the settings, it will get converted and it will be showing up in your backup audit trial logs and in your transactions within all your system variables as well. Got it? And coming to the advanced settings. So under advanced settings, we have users and controls, data administration, developer tools, and extension, right? So yesterday we have been discussing about this users and customer portals, and today let's go through other options. We have all Padma was taking about the mobile SDK concepts as well. So now let's see, how do we publish an application and its components. So here the components I mean is about forms, reports, and workflows, and also the pages. So how do we publish a form? I'm just taking you to the publish mode. So here there is an option called publish component. Just click on that publish component. It will list all your forms, reports, and pages. So you can just publish a specific component, and you can get the URL of that specific component. Say for example, if I have to publish this particular report or all the customer invoices. So what I'll do is, or let's publish this customer details. Okay. So I'm giving it as publish. So I would be getting a permalink and also the embed link. This embed link, I can, it'll be in the form of iframe, and I can embed it within the pages or wherever it is required. Okay. So this permalink, if I just click it, it'll take me to the, yeah. So this form has been published and I can access it from outside with the permalink that we have received. And if you wanted to change the appearance of the form that you have published, then you can go ahead to change appearance. And here you can get to change the background color, border color. We'll just make a simple change here. And you can give the border color. And if you have any confirmation message, the confirmation page URL, you can just redirect to those URL. And if any header needs to be specified, you can specify, you can make all the customizations over here. So field level customizations can also be done. So how do you want the field to look like and all that? So now once done, if I'm saving, it'll get reflected in all the embedded pages. So now if I'm refreshing, the changes will get reflected. So this is the externally published component that is customer details. So however I want the appearance to be, I can make it that way. So we'll just publish another component that is pages. So along with pages, if I have embedded any other reports or forms, then I'll have to enable the public access for those forms or reports. So how do I do that? I'm choosing the invoice details dashboard and I'm publishing. So uh, so it within this invoice publishing, there is one component called invoice details. This is the current page. So it'll ask me if I can publish if any other components are associated with this particular page. Say yesterday we were day before yesterday we were going through about the pages, right? So while I'm sorry, yesterday Surendra was taking about the pages, right? So while creating the pages, uh, we we were able to add the forms and reports within the pages. You would have seen that as well. So let's get into a sample page now. So here we have customer details, we have customer detailed reports. All these forms and reports are embedded within a page. So whatever components are associated within the page, it'll get displayed here when you choose the page. If nothing is there, if it's just a panel and other specifications that are within the pages, it'll not show you the components. So I can go ahead to publish it. And if I use the permalink, I would be able to access those forms and reports which has been given public access. So there is another option called, I was taking through this as well. When you click here, so let's publish this form as well, this page. I'm choosing the pages dashboard and I'm publishing. So we have one customer details report that is being embedded into this form. So it will ask if I need to publish this as well. I'm just enabling it and I'm publishing. So dashboard published successfully with one another component. So here what we have to do is, again going to the pages, I'll have to get into the pages and I'm refreshing it. I'll have to choose the customer detailed report and I'll have to enable the public access to S. Now it would have been disabled. So on the bottom right corner, we would be having an option called public access. Just enable that to S so that it will be published. I mean, those those it has been published as a public. I mean, if it has been published, others will be able to have access to this particular form. So coming to the other settings. So coming to the localization part. So here we have different languages. You can add the languages to translate the form and field names as well. Here we have a few options like setting the default language to be English and users browser language. So if I have chosen the browser language to be Japanese or Dutch or any other languages, the system's interface gets automatically translated to the browser's language. Say for example, I'm choosing users browser language, and since it is being in English, it'll show the interface in English and uses Zoho account language. So if the user account is being associated to English, by default it'll show English. Otherwise, whichever language your account is associated with, those languages will get displayed when you're choosing going for this option. So let the user choose. Here, there is an option called default language. So just keep adding the default languages. Here, some other language. German, I'm choosing German. And here, if I it'll take me to the pop-up, and it'll ask if the Google translation needs to be done, or the translation can be manual. So if I say translate manually, it'll take me to the page where all the forms and other components will get displayed. So for each form and each field, I can specify the translated version so that it will get displayed within the interface. And here, I whatever languages I have added using add language will get displayed within the default languages. So when you go to default languages, it will be showing German. If I've added some other language to it, it will show other languages as well. So you can get to see the difference. So this user's browser language, you can I mean the entire interface, not just the front end. Most of the interface part will be changed to the browser language that you're setting in. And coming to the contextual messages part, so you can add your custom messages to the reports. Say for example, if I have to add the custom messages to my report, I'm selecting this all, and I'm choosing the list of reports. The forms will get displayed here, and it'll ask if I have to select all the reports or the custom report. So here I have option customer details report. I have to customize the messages within this report. So here we have an option to download the standard messages. From the standard messages that is being downloaded, you can get to add your own messages, customize it, and upload it again. So may open it, and you would get to see the options, the default values for each report. To add a record, you haven't added any records. To export the selected records, to add more records deleted successfully. So I'm just changing into records deleted. Here, the if it is for mobile, or if it is view live, or if it is for the alert messages, you can just specify it here, and you can save the file, and you can upload it. Uh, Here there is an option called upload, right? After customizing the messages, you can upload your file, and based on the messages that has been customized, you would be receiving the messages within the report across any reports that you've chosen. So in this way, you can set the contextual messages. And coming to the backup option, here we can backup as such right away immediately, or you can schedule for the backup. So here there is an option called backup now and reschedule backup. So when you click on backup now, still you will have access to the application. The backup process will happen simultaneously. And there is an option called reschedule backup. Here, it'll ask you on which day. Is it on yearly basis or monthly basis, on weekly basis? How do you want the frequency? How frequently do you want to schedule the backup? So I'm giving it on weekly basis. So I can choose every if it is every week, then which day do I have to back up, and the timing has to be mentioned. So it has already been backed up. These are the backed up version. So I can just restore the version or delete the backed up version, and also download the version. So the DS file, respective dilute script file will get downloaded with the complete the application structure and the framework. So this will have both the data and the application structure. So coming to the audit trial. So it'll all the user actions, all the end users actions can be tracked using this audit trial option. As you must be aware, like if you are editing a record, if a user is editing a record or deleting the record, it'll get the historic data will get updated in the audit trial, right? So I can get to choose the form for which I have to check on the log or the audit trial. So if I give on proceed, it'll take me to the page where I have record logs, export and print logs. So when the record has been edited and when it has been deleted, any sort of updates will be appearing here along with the timing and the type of action which is being done. And here there is another option called export and print logs. So whenever you're exporting or printing any records or the reports, that will get updated within this export and print logs. And here you have the form name, report name, action exported and printed. And if you have any specific date range, you can mention the specific date range within which you want the logs to be appearing here. Or as I told you, every record will have an 18-digit ID, which is a record ID. So if you wanted to track any specific transaction, then you can give the record ID. So if you to quickly tell about the record ID, you can just enable it. It's a system variable. It'll be unique across the application, right? So you can enable the record ID by getting into the reports, and there is an option called add field, right? Within the system variables, you'll be having this record ID. So by specifying the 18-digit code or the record ID, you would be able to get the audit trial or the actions performed by the user for that particular transaction. Okay. So this is about the audit trial part. Coming to the sandbox. So this is nothing but you would have, this is like, it'll create a replica of the application. You can make changes, review them, and it's almost like a platform for doing a preliminary test, and you can also publish the changes. A platform to perform testing and also the deployment. So I would say, I would term sandbox in that way. And if I have to create a sandbox, I'm just hitting on this create button. Uh, Here it'll come up with two options: access sandbox and remove sandbox. So when I give access sandbox, it'll create replica of this application without the data. So it's taking few seconds to create this sandbox. Let's wait till that. So let the sandbox get created. Meanwhile, let's discuss on few other options as well. Okay, it got created, and here you have this. The users in live mode who is using live mode of the application, you don't have to disturb the users who are using the live mode of the application. Without that, you can just make changes to the application. You can review them, and you can do testing, and you can publish it once you feel that everything is okay. So this will be helpful when you have huge change requests from the customer, and you don't want the live users to be disturbed. Okay. So now when this particular application is in sandbox mode, the editing of the application will be locked. So whatever changes you have to make it within the sandbox mode only. So this will be available only for the admin for now. In future, this will be enhanced as well. And I'm giving it as access sandbox. So until you publish and enable this remove sandbox option, it will not take you to the live mode of the application. So here is a sandbox mode. You can see a different background and all that. So here we have options to all the components that you saw within the application. You would be able to see the replica within the sandbox as well, except for the widgets. So widgets will also appear, but it would appear as a broken widget. So this widget feature also we are trying to enhance, and we are trying to bring it into the sandbox. So we would be updating on this soon. So coming to the design level, now let's see how do we make changes, and how do we maintain the versioning, and how do we publish those changes into the live mode of application. So I'm getting into I'm opening the form builder. So let's add, these are the set of fields that are available within inventory, right? So now I wanted to remove the single line field, and I wanted to remove the number field. So initially it will be showing a pop-up, the deleting this field is not allowed, but actually it will get deleted. And I'm adding a multi-line field. I'm giving it as description. And let me add a phone number as well, vendor number. So along with the item name, I'm adding the vendor number. So these are the two new fields that are added. So I'm just refreshing it. So let me just delete it again. Okay. So let's get into publishing the changes. Now I have made few changes and I wanted to publish them. I'm getting into publish, and it'll show me the list of changes I have done. I can get to choose what are the changes that I have to publish in first version that I'm going to create. So vendor number I wanted to publish, but the description I wanted to do it in the next version. So I'm proceeding. So this has been added to version 1.0. Now, when you access live mode of the application, before getting into the live mode, we can also as well do testing, but the data will not be available. So I'm just getting into the testing environment. So item name, let's add it as computer. And you could see the description and vendor. So we added the description and vendor number. Okay. Now if I submit, data will get added, but this will not get reflected in the live mode. So the data that you're seeing in the live mode will not be appearing within the sandbox, and whatever test data that you're adding within the sandbox, it will not get reflected within the live mode. So once the testing is done, you can go ahead to publish it. So we have as well published, but the changes will get reflected only. You can have access to the live mode only by removing the sandbox. So now the editing is currently locked for this application. So I can remove it, and if I have access to the application, I would be able to see the changes. So while adding, I have also added the description along with the vendor number. So it was asking if I have to add the description. I gave it as yes, and so it has added the description and the vendor number as well. So here you could see the version history. Again, if I'm going to the sandbox mode, so if I have not, if I have made a few changes, say 5 to 10 changes, and I'm only publishing the a few changes, and the remaining changes would appear if I create the sandbox again. I'm getting into the sandbox mode. So whatever changes I haven't published, it'll be appearing. Now I think I have published everything. And the new changes that you're making would also be appearing. You can get to choose for this particular version, what are the changes that needs to be published. So it's taking few seconds. Let's wait for that. I'm giving access sandbox. And if I give publish, it'll say you don't have any changes made yet. And if I'm making any changes, Or if I have changes from the previous version that is being backed up, I would be getting all those changes as well. So if I'm deleting this field, okay, there is an issue, but generally it shows the pop-up message, but it'll generally get deleted and it will not appear in the live mode. So when you publish, it will say, okay, let me add a drop down and hit on this done. Okay. So here it shows I have added a drop down. Along with that, I have deleted a few customer inventory app within a field. I have made some changes, right? So if I click on proceed, it will create another version. And the previous version, you wouldn't be able to see the previous version. You can't retrieve the previous version from the sandbox. Once it is done, let's see how this change gets reflected within the live mode. So let me remove the sandbox and I'll get into the access mode. And you're able to see the drop down. So for this deleting a field, I'll just get back to the product team and check what the issue is, and we will revert back to you via mail. And coming to the next settings feature. So the schema builder. And again, the schema builder will provide you a complete logical structure of your applications database. So you would have access. We had gone through the relationship. How are we establishing the relationship using lookup and subform in our previous sessions, right? So how do we access the data stored in other forms using lookup and subform? So within the schema builder, we will be able to see the structure. How is the relationship established between two forms? Here you could see between customer invoice and customer details, there is a relationship, bidirectional relationship. And if you have to establish a new relationship, you can just click on it and create a new one. So here, same as what you did with the lookup reference, you can add the lookup straight away from the schema builder. So how do you want between both the forms without getting into the form and without choosing the lookup field? You can as well do it from the schema builder, and you can get to see the structure, data structure of your application database. Got it? And here from the list of forms, you can get to choose a form. So this is about the schema builder. And coming to the application IDE, so the integrated development environment. So this will display the framework of maybe a form, report, or pages, or any schedules. All the complete framework will be. You can see the complete framework within the IDE. That is the development environment, and you can get to download or delete it. Whatever code changes you have to make, you can make it from the IDE itself. So within the IDE, the file that is downloaded will be in the form of DS, that is the Deluge script. I'm just exporting it, and it will save the file as DS file. As you can see, I'm just exporting it again. So again, it will show that it's a DS file. So this DS file will store the structure of your Zoho Creator application in the text format. So let me just open it. So I can use this DS file to another user or a developer can use this DS file to upload the application or create an application within his account. Say I'm getting into another account, which is ZCPP. I'll choose another account. So just a few minutes. I'll just make sure if my voice is clear and if there is any lag while I'm switching on the screen. Can you just confirm on that? It's all clear, right? Okay. Yeah. Okay, we will have access to this application. We have this DS file downloaded from a different account. This account is abhinaya.kg plus T0 at zohotest.com. So I have downloaded a DS file, and if I have to upload it within another account, that is abhinaya.kg plus T70 at zohotest.com. So how do I do that? Initially, we were looking at the smart import option, right? So import a file. And within this importer file, we have DS as one of the options, right? So I have my DS within my local storage. I can just use the DS file as such, and the application will get created from one account to another account using the DS. You wouldn't be getting the data, but you would just be getting the structure of the application. You got it, right? So backup is the option where you would be getting the application along with the data. And coming to okay, so you can as well delete this. I'm just on the left hand side. You can get to see all the functions that you have written, the custom functions, forms, and schedulers or reports, pages. All will get displayed here. You can go and edit the code from here itself. That will get reflected within the application as well. So one thing is the custom functions written using Deluge will get displayed, but the custom functions that are written using Java or Node.js wouldn't be available. But you can just include it within the DS file manually, and you can upload it to another account. So that is like workaround for that. And coming to a few other settings option, we have this logs, right? So I'm getting into the logs. So let's get into some other application. There is file manager. So within this file manager, if we have if the user has performed any actions for today, so I'm just quickly adding policy details, and let's see if the action is getting uh, I mean reflected in the log. So let me randomly choose one policy name. And I'm giving an expiry date. So today, if we have performed any action, yeah, sorry, it'll show an error message now within the log. I'm getting into the settings. And I'm getting into the log. So all the success and failure of any form actions or schedule actions or the report actions will report workflow actions will be shown within the log. So here you could see that schedules executed successfully and error in executing on script edit. So now we saw the error message, and if you have to see the full log, you can get to see the full log here, and you can as well filter it based on the timeline. So is it based on the form actions, schedules, email data, integration, pages, or payment? We have segregated it, and you can get to choose. If it is a form-based action, it will display the message. What is the user action? Who's the user? What is the time of execution? And along with that, it will show the log. If it is a failure, if it's a failure log, if it is a success log, if it is a success message, you wouldn't be getting the logs. So we were seeing looking at logs, application IDE, Sandbox, schema builder. We already saw what are record templates, and we were going through the audit trial, backup, and localization. We have covered most of the settings part, and a few more options with respect to the design. Here we have options to change the themes. You can get to change the theme. How do you want the form interface or the theme to look like? And here, when you click on this option, what are the if you have to replace the menu, then you can just go and drag and drop and replace it. Or if you have to hide hide any specific component, you can hide it by clicking on this icon. And if you have to change the icon, you can just drag and drop any of these icons. So with this, we are coming to end of the session. Before closing, like in the previous sessions, I, I I was saying that I will be explaining about few mobile related features, right? How the QR code functions with the QR code generator. How do we input the data from using mobile? And how does the Zoho Creator application operate from? How do we download the application and use it from the mobile? So Surinder will be explaining about the mobile related features now. I'll be transferring the control to Surinder, and after that we'll be having Q&A and hands-on session. So now I'm transferring the control to Surendra.
Hi all, good evening. I'll be taking you through the various functionalities which are available while we are using Zoho Creator from the mobile. So during our course, we would have seen a lot of facilities which have been mentioned as we can while we are using the mobile, we'll have a few more options which are not available in the web-based version, right? So now we'll be taking a look at. So for this, we can go to the Play Store and download our Zoho Creator application. Let me just download Zoho Creator. So Zoho Creator application is a cascading application. It is available for both Android and iOS. Okay. So this is where we download it. Since I have downloaded it, I'm opening the application. And first time when you are opening the application, it will ask you to sign up with the login credentials. Let it be username and password. And once you log in to your account, you will be able to see all the applications which are available in your account. So these are the list of applications which I created. So this is the same account which I showed yesterday. So if I can go to settings, and if you can see the mail ID surrender.sr plus t0.zohotest.com. So this is the same account which I used yesterday. And you can see this application is having, or this is application which is a cascading of all the applications which I have in my account. So in case if I want to use any of these applications frequently, I don't want to get into creators application every time. Do you remember we talked about this PWA concept, right? So the PWA concept is like, it uses the browser settings, and but it still acts as a native application. So if I long press this application, I'll be given an option to create a shortcut. Let me just long press it. We can see there's it's saying this is already added to the home screen. So if I go ahead and if I check, we can see the application being added in my home screen. Okay. So and if I open this application, it directly opens this application, and it is not going to open my creators application anymore. It acts as a single application, and so this is a PWA application. Okay, so if I try to kill the process, it is only that particular application being open. And coming to the components, we can see all the components are being self-associated to the uh, self-associated to the mobile-based functionality. So we have a lot of mobile-based features which can be used while we are accessing the application from mobile. The first one what we'll be seeing is the single lane screen. Okay, so it's like let me just go to the design and the V2 form. Here we have a single line field, right? The single line field has a few mobile-based properties. The first one is we can scan QR code and barcode. Okay, so let me just get a QR code and scan a QR code and get the value over here. Okay, so I just enabled the QR code. If I refresh, I just close and open it. We see there's a I have the option to open a QR code scanner. If I just click on this, and the QR code scanner will directly open. So I'll just have to allow, and it's asking me to store. Okay, so we can see my the mobile screen is opening the QR code scanner. So let me just come back. And the next one is like when I want to get the data. So if I say get input before the form is displayed, which means the moment I load the form, the QR code scanner opens and asks me to provide the input. So I'll show you that. I have enabled get input before the form is displayed. And if I go ahead and say, you can see the moment I load the form, it's asking me to give the input. I'll just load it one more time. I'm clicking on V2 form. The moment I load the form, it directly asks me to provide an input to the system. Okay. And there's one more option which is available, which is disable manual input. So it's like if I say disable manual input, and if I close and open it, only option which I have to enter the data is by QR code scanning. So now, even though I'm clicking, so you may not be able to see the screen. I am clicking this, but I'm not allowed to, or the uh, what to say, the keypad, which is supposed to come when I click on that input field, is not populating. The only option I have is to feed the data through the QR code scanner. Okay, let me just show you one small example of this QR code scanner. I'll go to a QR code generator website. It's QR Monkey. So this is a small QR code generator website which generates QR code based on the text which we give. So let me just give it a text, and I'll give the text as hi, I am Surendra. Okay, and I'm generating a QR code. So you can see the QR code is getting generated. And let me just open my browser and scan it. Okay. So we can see I have got the scan result, and now I have the option. So if you can see the top, I have the option to scan again, or again I can go ahead and set it. Okay. So these functionalities can also be can also be uh, control. Okay, so here you can see submit after capturing. Okay, so if I say submit after capturing, I won't be able to I won't be shown this result. So for example, I think it will submit the form. I'll just go back. Okay, now I'll scan it one more time. So we can see I'm scanning the data and it is showing me. I didn't go back. Okay, scan again. Sorry. So I'll close and open this form. Okay, submit without submitting. Okay, I'm opening the form again, and if I scan, uh, I'm getting the data. So it's showing the preview and submit form after capturing. So it should set it now. Okay, so I have set it now, and the data is automatically added to the report. Okay, so the moment I added the record, so it's like if I have revoked that preview. Okay, so there's we can set a preview duration, and if the preview is done after 3 minutes, it will directly save it. So let me go back and scan it. Now I'll get the data, and the preview will be for 3 seconds, and so you can see the timer running at the top, and after that the data is getting added automatically. Okay, so that is one feature which is available. So here you can see I have added a new record, and it is added automatically by setting the preview. So these are just customizations which I am doing in the web-based application itself. So I'm not doing any special build for the for bringing in these features into mobile. So that is how Creator is acting. So it is like mobile first application builder. Okay, so even though we build applications on only one platform, it is automatically adapting itself to the others. Okay, and coming to the other features, so we can switch cameras, we can allow them to switch cameras, and we can also enable them to get data from photo gallery, and which is not relevant to this particular feature. Okay, and the next field which I want to show is the image field. Okay, so the image field, when I'm accessing the image field from web, the only option I get is to upload the image from the local computer. Right, so there's no other option. But when we go ahead and access the same from mobile, so I'm going to image field, and now if I tap on the image, I have two options. I can either upload a photo or I can take a photo. So if I choose either of the options, so let me say I take a photo. Okay, so I have the option. I'm taking the photo. It's not just okay. So I have a lot of other customization options also available. So in the image, if I can see, I have the option to upload it, and I can allow them to switch it to the camera. I can show the preview screen. Okay, when to exit the preview screen, and I can also allow annotation. So it's not just capturing the image and sending it over. So let me just go back and open it one more time. I'll just take a photo. Okay, I'm taking a photo. So now it is asking me for confirmation. So here we have set it as show preview screen, right? So the preview screen exits only when the user says yes. So I'm tapping it, and it is not going to take me directly to the image field like it did last time. It's giving me the option to annotate. I can go ahead and I can add shapes. Okay. I can add shapes. I can add text. I can go ahead and say, okay, I'll give some text over here and I'll just put it in. And then I can go ahead and submit. So I have all the properties, like I can draw a line, I can add text, I can change the color, size. If I don't want, I can also delete as well. Once I'm done with all these processes, it gets stored into that particular image. So we can also enable this based on a timer. It allows you to get the timer from, or it allows you to get the image based on a timer, and we can also get input before the form is displayed. The get input before the form is displayed is like what we saw in the QR code. So before we getting into the form, it gets the input. Okay, and submits form after capturing. So it's like the same what we did the QR code. Once it is captured, the data gets submitted. That's all. You won't get the option to wait and submit. So that is with the image field. And uh, coming to signature field, right? So the signature field also allows us to do the touch-based signature. I'll just close and open it. The signature field, it gives us the option to sign, and we can clear, and it's the same process what we follow in our normal web-based application. And the next one which we are going to take a look at is the audio and video file. So the audio file and video file, it's like these files can act as a media file. So if I go to audio file, I have the option to record, and I can set the duration for which I can allow the record. So I think the duration, maximum duration is up to 30 minutes. So 30 minutes is the maximum duration, or it can be a file size of 50, whichever comes earlier. So either it is 30 minutes and less than 50 MB, or it is 5 minutes and having 50 MB, whichever comes earlier is the condition trigger. And coming to video file, again I think it's 5 minutes, and it cannot be duration cannot be more than 5 minutes. So the 5 minutes is the maximum duration of 50 MB. So that is the duration for the file and image field. And coming to OCR, so we have seen OCR fields uh, doing text extraction from the images, right? And those image fields can also be uploaded from our gallery. So while we are doing OCR, and these are dependent fields. So this is about the field properties. And coming to report properties, so we can configure reports based on the report actions. So for example, I'll right now, so if I go to the report, I'll just go to report, and if I click on report, the on click, if I even if I long click, you see I'm given a different set of options. And if I swipe it right to left, or swipe it from left to right, I won't have any options available. So those options can also be configured. So I can go to the phone actions. So here we can see if I am in the web, the actions are like only on click of a record, single record, right click of a record, and multiple records. The same when I go to the mobile version, you can see the actions like on tap of the record for single record, long press of the record, swipe left, swipe right for multiple records. Okay, we have extra options like swipe left and swipe right. So if I go ahead and add a option, so if I say if I swipe left, I want the record to be viewed, and if we go ahead and open this report again, and if I swipe left, you can see I got the option to view the record. So if I remove it, then I will not be able to swipe it at all. So I can configure any action which I want. I can do the custom actions. So let me put two actions here and duplicate and edit. And for right swipe, I will say view the record. So now if I reopen this report, we have the option to duplicate and edit. So it's like if I swipe and leave, there's the option. So if there's only one, the action gets executed by default. But if there's more than one actions which are configured, I'll be given an option. So if I tap on any of this option, it will happen. And the same, if I come left to swipe towards left, you can see I have the option to view record. So since there was only one record over there, the swipe automatically took the option and executed. So like this, we have about 80 different granular controls, especially available for the mobile-based usage of this application. Okay. So we have when we come to mobile, we have a different set of layouts available. So it's entirely different from the layouts which we have for web. So you can see we have custom layouts, and when it comes to mobile layouts, we have different set of applications. These are like all of card based layouts. Okay, and so the other properties which we can discuss for mobile is like the label placements. So we can see the label placement, right? So the label placement can be selected based on our question. So it's like right now, if I can go to the form, uh, you can see the labels are placed above the field. So if I want, I can also put them right next to the field. Okay. Let me just close and open it. I think. Okay, so actually, I think there's some issue with my mobile. It is not restructuring the forms. So the label structuring can be done based on our application. So it's like by default it's chosen as to be kept above the fields, but we can also choose in which format we want labels to be placed. So these are a few mobile-based customizations which I wanted to show. And now we'll be moving to the Q&A session, and then we'll be moving to our hands-on. Thank you. We'll probably show them how to go and register for creator
Sure,
account.
Surendra. Yeah. I'll transfer the control to you now.
Yes. Okay. So I see most of our team our attendees have not registered.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'll just open a new session. I'll show people how we can go ahead and register for Zoho Creator. Okay. Okay. So this is a new session where I have not created Zoho account, or I'll add a new account over here, add a new person. Okay. And let's start. So let me go to creator.zoho.com. So that is the link, creator.zoho.com. So once I go to creator.zoho.com, I'll be given taken to this page where I'll be asked to either sign in. So sign in option is in the top right corner. So here you can see the sign in option, or prominently you'll be seeing this sign up for free option. So the moment I say sign up for free, I will be given the option. So I have to give my name. I'll give my name as Surendra, and my email. So I have already created two accounts. So one for my corp account and one for my test account, right? So in case you want to create a new account, you have to feed in your email. I'll create a new account with my test. So I'll say Surendra dot sr plus t0 sorry t200 at zohotest.com. And then comes the phone number. I am giving a dummy phone number. Please don't do that. Give a valid phone number. Okay. And we have to set up a password. And so here, if you can take a look clearly, right? So it says based on. It looks like you are from India. Okay. So if I want to change my country, I have this option. So this is not so prominent. Okay, so you have to take a careful look on this while you are registering for your application. It is asking for a stronger password. Okay, sorry. Okay, my password is strong now. So we can go ahead and change the country. The reason why we are choosing the country is like we don't have the option to share applications from one data center to the other data center. Okay, so we will not be given the option to share between uh, Indian data center to US data center. So there are a lot of data privacy issues. So one data center's application cannot be shared to other data centers application. So if you want to share your application to your colleagues, so make sure all your colleagues are in the same data center. Okay. So then we can go ahead and click on agree and sign up for free. It creates an account. The first time I think I had to verify it. Okay. So now it didn't ask me to verify since I had logged in with my test account. So this is the plain vanilla dashboard which you will be getting. So first time we'll be given the option to create application or we'll be given the option to import the application. So we can go ahead and create the application. Now what I say create the application, I'll be given the list or the app deck which is containing a list of pre-built applications. So let us say you want to build a sales management application. Go ahead, click on that, read about this application, understand it. If you want to understand more, you can go ahead and install the application. Okay, just one click, it will set things for you. You won't get any data in it. Okay, but you'll be getting the full application ready. So that is how you can install the application, and these installed applications can also be customized as regular as any other application. Okay. So this, I think, this answers the question of how to get started with Zoho Creator. Is there any other questions I can answer? So do we have any other questions, team? Okay, so what I'll do is I'll take you to the document which we gave yesterday for your hands-on. I'll give you a brief idea of how to approach this problem. Okay, and then you can take it up on your own. Is it okay? Can we do that? Okay, so we have one more question. How can I get certified? Yes, after this training session, our people will be reaching out to you. We'll be reaching out to you via mail or, and you will be given the certification link where you have to take answer questions, and if you get the right percentage of marks, you will be given a certification. Okay, so certification is like 45 minutes exam. It's a straightforward procedure, and I would please I would recommend request you guys to go through, put some more effort into creator, do some hands-on, get some hands-on, do some research and learn creator before we go into certification, because certification is not like it's not a straightforward questions. It's and it doesn't comes up with any single syllabus. Okay, so it is to understand how much you have taken how much you know about creator. So it is not like any theory set of questions, and we can just take it up and go. Okay, so yeah, so that is the certification process.
Cool. Surinder, Hemant here.
Yeah, hi Hemant.
Hi. So I'll just add to what you've just told. Anshuman, thanks for the question regarding the certification process. Uh, we do have arrangements for all the attendees to be certified, as Surinder said. The certification would be for the first level of certification, which is the associate certified developer. So that's like kind of like the starting place of how you can get certified with Creator. And the questions for the multiple choice questions, out of which you'll be required to score a minimum of 30. and the syllabus would be around the navigations of different options in Creator, basics of deluge, and basics of application development. So as Surendra suggested, we strongly recommend everyone to get their hands dirty, log into Creator, try to build an application, try to understand what the platform is capable of before you take up the certification process. And for each of the organization that has joined in this particular series, we do have a point of contact available from our account management team, and they will be reaching out to your company's point of contact to get this certification process uh, started, right? And in case you have apart from the first level of certification, we have a second level called the professional level, and for that we would require a minimum of a year experience on Creator on the associate developer certified level. So once you complete a year on the associate level, we analyze the capabilities, the skill, the applications that you built, and bump you up to the professional level. So probably we'll follow up on that like after a year and get those done. So that's how you can get certified, and we'll make sure all the attendees that have joined the session in the past 4 to 5 days, we send out information regarding that and have you all go through the certification process. Good. So Surinder, anything else we are waiting on?
No, Hemant. Actually, this was supposed to be a Q&A session, and the session was supposed to be like based on the hands-on which we gave. This was supposed to be like doubt clearing session, and I'm not seeing any doubts so far.
Sure. So we'll try to like change it up a bit. Anyone available online? So everyone who's online right now in the session, if you want to like ask us any questions, probably what we'll try to do is try to open up the mic access for you guys so that you can probably interact. And this is a major opportunity that you can get to get all your doubts clarified. Because again, the trainers available on the call, right, starting from Padma, Surender, and Abhinaya, are majorly experienced, with Padma being our most experienced person available on call. So any questions you have, you can get them clarified. Uh, yeah, the emails will probably route it through the support team. As I said, you'll also have an account manager from your end reaching out to them. So through them, it'll probably reach out to us as well.
Hemant, I think Kartika has a doubt. I've
Karthik
given,
has
yeah, yeah, yeah.
perfect. Yeah, sure. We'll probably share the self-paced training as well. Abhi, if we could share the Udemy links that we have for the basic and advanced one, probably they can go through that as well.
Sure, sure. Yeah, I'll do that, Hemant.
Great, guys. So probably we'll see if we have any further questions, because the content that we wanted to deliver in the 5 days is come to a close. And that's when we wanted to talk about the hands-on, or wanted to do a Q&A to see if there were any unanswered questions. And yeah, the recordings would be sent. The recordings would be sent to all the attendees. Great.
Hello,
So
Travis.
Pankaj is online. Yeah,
Yeah.
Pankaj.
Hey, I had a couple of questions. So, what is the underlying technology stack for Zoho Creator? So we can assume certain things from the trainings, right? That it's a cloud-based, and so what is it? So is it like it uses Node.js and all, right? So is there an underlying technology stack saying that it's deployed on
Okay.
Azure or AWS, GCP, and
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
built over .NET or Java framework or anything like that?
Perfect. Yeah. Uh, Sure, Pankaj, I understand where you're coming from. So, but this question is a little tricky as well from a business perspective for us as well, to let you know what exact technology it's actually built on. So we usually do it over an NDA, right? So our suggestion would be to reach out to your team, and then I'll have our account management team follow up as well. Probably we'll do an NDA before we give out. See, again, the database information, the base technology information. So these are information that we maintain from our side for a business closure or a business perspective. So we usually don't give out that information unless and until we have an NDA, right? So probably after we sign the NDA, we'll be more than happy to share all the information that we have. And since all the attendees that we're looking at on this particular session, at least are from a partner organization or will be a part of the partner organization, the NDA signing process shouldn't be a big problem. So once the NDA is signed, we'll be more than happy to share all this info. Yeah.
Thanks, Hemant. And Hemant, another question is
Yeah.
regarding the billing, right? So generally, if we are
Mhm.
migrating or deploying our application on Zoho Creator, so how are
Mhm.
we going to get billed? Or let's say if we have to give a quote, okay, for a client
Mhm.
saying that you can deploy
Mhm.
your application on Zoho Creator, is there any billing
Mhm.
associated with it? So is there any calculator or pricing calculator or something which you can use to determine what would be the charges to deploy X number of UI applications, API applications to use functions or services, something like that? So how is the client going to get charged?
Okay, great question. Right. So the billing would happen in two splits. So the first one would be the platform pricing. The second one would be the actual implementation call that you or your organization as a developer or an implementation partner will be taking up. Right. So the platform costs would be available on the website. That would be based on the number of users that are using the application, be it internal users or external users. So apart from the platform cost, the actual time and effort that you or your team will be taking to build that particular application on top of Creator, so that would come under the implementation charges of it. And the implementation charges, uh, whenever a particular request comes, so usually the implementation partners, we give it out to them. So they usually charge the clients directly. So we don't have any hold on that. But in case you want any suggestions, it usually goes based on the experience that we have on the platform. So so try to understand that, because
Got it.
based on what you've seen in Creator, right, it doesn't specifically mean a single form application is simpler than a multi-form application. The underlying concept or the structure of the application would be completely dependent on the actual requirement here. So it's kind of hard to say based on like certain modules and certain features that are required. So it usually goes based on experience, and probably you'll gain it as you continue building applications or creating.
So regarding this platform cost, Hemant, so is there a
Uh-huh.
calculator or a billing sheet which we can use? Will it be shared later
Oh
once
yeah.
the NDA is signed? Okay. Right.
No, the
And
pricing is available on the website. They're open with the pricing
okay,
card.
okay, yeah, we'll check that one. And another thing, Hemant, so regarding migration, right? So
Mhm.
let's say if the application is already on-premise, so is there
Mhm.
any tools or something which we can use to migrate? Uh, Even the database or database, we know that Excel upload feature and document
Mhm.
upload features and all are there. So other than
Mhm.
that, so do you have any tool which would convert something like an on-premise database, let's say if it is Oracle, anything like which would convert the procedures, functions, sequences, and all to corresponding format on Zoho, or even if we take UI applications. So
Mhm.
let's say if the application is developed in VB or VB.NET or even C Sharp.NET. Okay. So is there
Mhm.
any legacy technology, right? Because we look at legacy
Yeah. Yeah.
migrations. So
Yeah.
is there any tools which will help support legacy migrations into Zoho Create, or will it be development from scratch?
So usually these connectors or the migration tools that you are talking about, these we usually handle based on case by case. We do have a couple of a few connectors available, a few migration tools available. But again, as you might know, it totally depends on the actual version of the ERP system, the database structure, and how the database is actually imported into Creator. So we try to handle it case by case. So if a particular connector is not available, yes, it has to be built from scratch. The database importing, as you said, the direct option or the basic option that we have is the Excel import option. Apart from that, we can look at like middleware options that we were talking about, right? Like a small connector, pull information from the on-prem system, push it into Creator, the application that you build on Creator over API calls, and try to do a migration as well. So we'll try to help you out with that. Whenever you have any requests like that, you are more than welcome to reach out to our support team. We try to understand the requirements, see what would be the best possible solution, and we'll give you the best practices that you can follow from your end. But again, as you said, the time and effort, the effort that would be required in case it has to be built from scratch, would be on the developer side. That's your end. Yeah,
Got it. Yeah. Thanks, Hemant.
perfect, Pankaj. Thank you. Great, guys. So, anyone else? Any other questions or your thoughts about Creator? Anyone wants to share anything before we come to a close on this particular series? Okay, I guess not there. Great again. But
Hemant, one Ravi wants mic
oh
access. Just one
yes,
minute.
please,
I'm
yes,
approving.
please.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Ravi, you're on mute now. If you have any questions, you can unmute yourself and ask the question.
One second. Can you listen to me now?
Yeah, we are able to
Audible?
hear you now. Yeah,
Yeah. So I have question. First of all, thanks a lot for the training.
sure.
Uh, it was really nice to know about the platform.
Great.
I have one question around vendor lock-in. So does Zoho have kind of vendor lock-in in case if the customer unfortunately wants to move away from Zoho? So what is the procedure for that? Or do you have any kind of vendor lock-in in place?
See, vendor login in the sense as so we go from an implementation perspective. So as an implementer, you need a login into the customer's account to be able to do all these modifications or the development process. Is that what you're asking?
And like if they've suppose they have developed an application in Zoho Creator and tomorrow if they want to move out, so can they run those application outside Zoho or how is it?
Oh, no, no. The applications that you build on Zoho Creator are solely dependent on the platform itself. So the data is accessible for you. We have given you export options for the data that's available within the Creator system, but the system or the application itself is solely dependent on the Zoho Cloud or the Zoho Creators platform itself.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Great, thank you. Perfect. Thank you, Visalakshi. That's valuable feedback for us as well. And great to know that it has helped you out a lot. And we do have sessions going on every 45 days on Creator. Some of the other hot topics that we run for the platform that's available as well. So we would suggest you to reach out to your organization's SPOC and they should be able to redirect you to many more sessions like this. So we do these series around the year. Every month we have like 1 to 2 sessions going on. So you're more than welcome over there, and we'll be more than happy to have you there as well. Perfect. So any other questions? Anyone else wants to let us know anything? Any feedbacks that you guys want to share?
Okay,
Perfect.
this is Ravi again.
Thank
Just
you.
one more last question. Do you have option of
Yes,
on-premise
please.
deployment for customers?
Yes, we do have we are working on an on-premise version of it. The beta version of the on-premise version is available. Uh, as I said, it's still in beta phase, but we have deployed it to a couple of clients to understand how the product is going, and it's pretty stable. So if you're interacting with a particular client or a customer asking for an on-prem version, do put us in loop. Yes, we do have a version of on-prem for Creator as well.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So Abhi, do we see any more requests?
No, Hemant, we don't see any. I think
Perfect, perfect. Oh yes,
we
I'm
have a
sorry
question.
about that. Yeah, can you project that question so that everyone knows what we're talking about? Great. So the question was the time limit to complete. Yes, we do have 40 questions. You'll have 45 minutes of time, and all the 40 are multiple choice questions. And as I said, out of the 40, you'll be required to score a minimum of 30. And the number of attempts, it is supposed to be a single attempt certification process. So all the best for that. But in case we see you very close to the pass percentage, we'll try to understand where it went wrong and probably like give you another attempt on that. But it's solely dependent on how much you're scoring in the first attempt. So the answer would be just take the certification test like it's just single attempt. And in case you're marginally missing out on certification, we'll verify it and probably give you another attempt on that. Okay? Great, guys. Thank you once again, everyone. And you can also convey to all your colleagues that are missing out on this particular day. It's been great running this particular session. Thank you, Abhi, Surinder, and Padma for running this session on all the 5 days. And thank you to all the attendees as well. We know you have taken a lot of time out of your production to come into the session, and hopefully, we were able to do justice to the time that you spent during the session and given you some valuable information about the platform itself. And initially, as we spoke about as well, the market for low code is pretty high. So the knowledge that you gain on a low code platform like Creator, which sits inside a suite like Zoho, is major. So we would encourage everyone to go through or have a lot of hands-on experience on Creator, start building applications. Needn't be specific applications as well. Start off with random applications, basic applications, and then that's how you gain a lot more knowledge on Creator. And as always, any doubts or queries that you have with Creator, you can always reach out to our support team or even reach out to your organization's SPOC. They'll reroute you to us, and we can work on this as well. Thank you once again, and hopefully looking forward to working with every one of you in the near future. Right? Thank you, guys.